For the last few years in early May, the city of Ithaca has closed down a few of its streets to cars, but it's left them open to people. Bikers, walkers, runners, anybody wanting to use the streets. The event is known as Streets Alive and is coming back to town this weekend. And here to talk about the event's past and present and what it means to give the streets to the people is Tom Knipe, one of the founding steering committee members for Streets Alive. Tom, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So just to get us started, what is Streets Alive?
Well, you described it really well. It's an opportunity for everyone in the community to come out and find creative ways to move in the street, from biking, walking, rolling, dancing, and really take over the streets for a day in a car-free environment, and really re-envision possibilities for our urban space, and encourage more people to think about cycling and walking and rolling as options for daily transportation.
Mm-hmm. And how did the event get started in the first place?
Well, the first event happened in May 2 years ago, May of 2012. This is the fourth Streets Alive that'll happen. The origin goes back a little bit further when the Creating Healthy Places project, which is now a project of the Health Planning Council, was applying for a grant to the state to form the Creating Healthy Places project, which is really designed to support a number of initiatives that encourage healthy living. And I had an opportunity to be a part of that initial sort of envisioning of the Streets Alive event, and it was the Health Planning Council that first started. But it takes a big group of people to really put something like this on. So when the Planning Council received the grant, sort of simultaneously, a number of us were meeting. By us, I mean there was a group of local professionals, many planners, who were interested in looking at ways to encourage more walking and cycling for transportation. And we sort of, at the same time as this grant came in, we're really honing in on this concept of, they're called open streets in some communities, Sunday parkways. The original concept, of course, is from Bogota, Colombia, ciclovia. And really, these are flowering up all over the country and the world. And we thought this would be a really good way to, do something in Ithaca to encourage more active transportation. So when we got the grant, we said, we all kind of came together and said, okay, let's focus here. Let's really make this happen and make it successful, make it what it should be for Ithaca. And so, those original partners are all still very engaged. It's, folks at Cornell Cooperative Extension's Way to Go program, Finger Lakes Fitness Center is involved, Human Services Coalition, Finger Lakes Cycling Club, the Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council. Actually, the city of Ithaca itself has been very supportive from the beginning. GIAC is involved, the Get Your Greenback Tompkins campaign. So a lot of partners really coming together to make this happen.
Yeah, and it seems like quite a feat to convince the city to close down a few of its streets for an afternoon. What kind of work did it take originally, and has it taken since then to get the city on board with that?
As I mentioned, the city has been incredibly supportive and actually directly engaged in helping conceive this event from the beginning. And I think it's because there's a recognition in our community, the city and other partners, that that walking and biking are really good for our community in a lot of different ways, in terms of promoting a transportation system that works better for everyone, including folks who don't drive, that's safer for kids, and people who aren't comfortable riding in traffic, to really just provide an opportunity to get out there and encourage more cycling and walking. So they've been there right from the beginning. I mean, the city, of course, has a formal process as well for any event which wishes to close the street, and so we've worked with the city special events committee to address all of the city's needs around safety and street closures and all those sorts of things. But there's been a great partnership with the city, really.
And what has the community response been? I know it's only the third or the fourth event that you've been putting on, but how have the residents of Ithaca reacted to this event?
Well, I think anybody who has had an opportunity to come to Streets Alive, from the people that I've talked to in my own experience, just blown away by not just the sheer number and number of smiles on people's faces who are out in the street, sort of, again, re-envisioning their street as a public space for walking and biking and rolling and moving. But also the incredible diversity of people who come out, kids on bikes who all of a sudden they don't have to worry about competing for cars on this particular day in the streets, competing with cars for space. Older people, who may not have been on a bike in a long time, and this is a great opportunity to try it out. We actually have free tune-ups, bike repair there, and in the past, the Big Red Bikes program at Cornell has also provided free uses of bikes, since that's been a nice thing in the past for folks to try out bikes. And people, from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all ethnicities, really, coming together in a public space in a really unique kind of way that we don't often share our public spaces with the whole community in this way. It's kind of like a block party where you meet the whole city.
I like that. So what are, if people do come out to this block party where they can meet the whole city, what are some of the kind of particular events going on Sunday afternoon as part of Streets Alive?
Well, there are a number of sort of planned or organized events, everything from taiko drumming to El Rumbon, the salsa band that's going to be playing up between Ithaca High School and Thompson Park, to dancing in the streets with Finger Lake Fitness, bike artification and public chalk art, electric slide and Beats Alive at GX. So there's a lot of groups that are kind of organizing activities that, again, are all about movement in the street. But it's also amazing to see just the serendipitous happenings that take place. One that sticks in my mind from the very first Streets Alive, I had no idea they were planning this, but some neighbors, instead of setting up a lemonade stand, set up a bacon and kisses stand, which, you never could have planned that in your whole life. Other neighbors coming out and just setting up a small bowl of edamame at the sidewalk with a little sign that said, "Try some edamame." And it was one person after another having these serendipitous conversations with their neighbors. And so that's really the invitation. And it's, by the way, it's not just for people who live on Cayuga Street, where the event is on Sunday, but really for the whole community to come on out and use the street.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this idea of interaction that you bring up, and kind of how getting people out of their cars and thinking about the different ways that they can communicate kind of inspires or allows these kinds of interactions to happen. I've heard, everyone out on the street in their cars as being described as being in like a million little bubbles, right? You're in your car, you're by yourself, you're isolated. So if Streets Alive is working to kind of counteract that, what do you feel, and what does the steering committee feel really comes from a community getting out together in this same space as one?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of the more underappreciated, because it feels kind of squishy and hard to put your finger on. Underappreciated benefits of walking and cycling for daily transportation. It's that whole idea of community connection, and it really does make a difference when you're traveling at the speed of someone walking, and even on a bike too, where you can engage with your environment in a really different way, and other people who are using the space, and that's absolutely a really, really important aspect, not only of the Streets Alive event, which is designed to encourage thinking about cycling and walking and rolling for daily transportation, but really of using those modes on a regular basis. And I remember when I started bike commuting again for the first time, after I passed my neighbor tending her lilies a few times, it occurred to me that I should mention how beautiful her lilies are, because I really enjoy them as I passed. And then the next time, maybe I would even stop and have a conversation. And it's those kinds of sort of community connections that really just help provide a great quality of life and sense of belonging, to people in our community.
So you mentioned that the event is happening on Cayuga Street. Is that the only street that's being shut down for Streets Alive?
No, actually, the route. I'll give you the route.
Sure.
It goes on Cayuga Street from Falls Street up by Boynton Middle School, all the way down 2 miles down to Court Street, and then at Court Street, the route swings to the west, and a portion of Court Street will also be closed between Cayuga Street and Plain Street, and GIAC will have a number of activities going on Court Street.
And this is Sunday, what time?
Sunday, 1 to 5.
Okay. And where can people find out more information if they're interested?
They can go to streetsaliveithaca.com, and there's a Facebook page as well. A lot of fun activity there. So feel free to check that out, and hope to see you out on Sunday.
That's streetsaliveithaca.com for more information. And I have been speaking with Tom Knipe. He is a founding steering committee member for Streets Alive about this year's festival, which takes place on Ithaca's North Cayuga and Court Streets this Sunday, May the 4th. Tom, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thanks so much.